Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated and this is episode 2 of my Total War playthrough as Mide in Thrones of Britannia. Thank you all for leaving comments on the first video. I'm delighted that people are interested in the historical context and some of the historical tales from this time period. So I'm going to give a brief historical overview at the start of each episode of some of the interesting places, because usually I'm playing CK3 and I don't have regions like this to kind of point out and actually talk about what was going on at the time. So very quickly I just do want to look at a few here because they are connected with a very important figure, Columba, or Saint Columkill. He would have studied at Clonard in the early to mid 500s, and after his studies he was granted land to found Kells, Canonus, by the High King of Ireland, the King of Tara, Diarmid mac Cruail. This is the same Diarmid that is popping up in my current CK3 playthrough, where I started in the Fallen Eagle mod as Conal Crihna. And Conal was supposed to have been baptized by St. Patrick, and his grandson was Diarmid mac Cruail, the king at this time, so he granted land for Kells to be founded. Columkill spent a period of time at Clonmacnoise in which he prophesied that the controversy over the dating of Easter, the diverse methods for the dating of Easter, would cause upheaval in the future, upheaval and bedlam on the island of Ireland, and indeed it did. Way up here in the northeast of the island. So Columkill would have travelled throughout the country founding ecclesiastical settlements and spending time at ecclesiastical settlements. And he visited Moyville, which was under Finian of Moyville, and here he made a copy of a book. And when Finian discovered this, Finian demanded that he be given the copy, and Columkill refused, because he said, "I've done the work in copying it, it's mine." And Finian also objected, so the case was brought before the High King of Ireland, Diarmid mac Cruail, who delivered his famous statement, "You wouldn't download a calf, would you? So why download a book? To every cow its calf, to every book its copy." And that as a derivative work of the original, the copy belonged to Finian, and that Finian controlled the rights to the reproduction and redistribution of the book. And this is often cited by many as the first ever piece of copyright law. Not entirely sure what happens in the aftermath of this. It's a bit muddled. It may have led to a massive battle over in Sligo. But for one reason or another, Columba either leaves in self-imposed exile or he travels to begin a mission to Christianize Scotland, and he is granted the island of Iona by a cousin of his, a distant relative, the King of Dalriada. Columkill was a member of the Kinnell Cunnell on the west coast of Alach, and of the first 10 abbots of Iona, 9 of them would be members of the Kinnell Cunnell. And the other site associated, there's probably a couple more, but another site associated with Columkill is Dunkeld, where he established again an ecclesiastical settlement and where it was believed that his relics, his body, spent a period of time. And I'm not too sure how we'd actually bring it up now, but there is a chain of buildings. There's the main settlement chain here is to build the Cathedral of St. Columba. So there you go, a rather lengthy chain of buildings leading up from Mide. Of course, later on, after Columba's death, later members of Iona would be called into Northumbria and assist in the founding of Lindisfarne, and would serve as its abbots for a period of time. And again, that dating of Easter controversy would lead to the Synod of Whitby in 663, where Northumbria renounced Iona control from Iona. So, rather lengthy, leading all the ways from Mide up into Scotland, down here into Northumbria, and even further south. But a wide variety, an array of locations associated with a very famous Irish saint, Saint Columba. What are the Norse doing? Only the bizarre pagan gods that they worship know. We're helping Bray to siege Dublin. The Vikings have headed south and have started chipping out chunks of Leinster. Why the hell am I doing this?
The men are eager to get to it.
I've decided that we're going to withdraw. If Bray wants to try and take this place, it's welcome to it. It's very well defended and has a very strong garrison. I know this from previous attempts on the fort. And I am a bit worried about the movement. Well, there's no movement over here. Rathcroken is the capital of Connacht, so it just has its forces based there. We are seeing Alloch moving towards Kilmore. And when they take that, that would present us with an opportunity to shoot straight up, take Kilmore, and would actually open a line to Armagh. And I think that is pretty much what we're going to do, because Armagh has the Church of St. Patrick, the chain for St. Patrick, so that's pretty much what we are going to do instead. I'm going to begin the process of trying to get those forces up to Kells, and actually we have our second general, who I'd say is probably out of movement speed. I might be able to... No, not yet. I'll switch over some forces and then bring him back, probably towards Clonmacnoise, to assist in the defense of it, just in case anything weird happens in this direction. A quick look around at some of the buildings. We could build the Caladay Priory, which would bring us in some extra church income and religious estates and public order. Public order is fairly good at the moment. And we're going to see a big public order jump and a big food deficit in just a few moments. So I'd say we're going to hold off on some land or on some money and try and hopefully start pushing towards the next rate of expansion here, at least, to start getting more food in. So for now, we're going to bring the summer of 879 to an end and see what, in the name of God, the Vikings and Bray do. So I'm not too sure what's after happening over here. We've seen a big drop in the forces of Bray.
Can't do that.
I think they had about 14, and we're also seeing a bit of... This is a rebel army. It is indeed on towards Bray's rear, so this could be problematic. I think Bray made an attempt at actually storming the building.
The men are eager to get to it.
Let's see who will swap over. We'll put that full unit in. Do I want to put the horse boys? Yeah. So this unit now, I will begin withdrawing it towards Clonard. It's just short. I think we're going to get given out for trespassing. And we're being told of a risk of rebellion here in Bray. So that's kind of problematic. We don't have much to defend the region. We've actually just seen Kilmore has fallen to Arguilla. They do actually have a hefty army up there. And we're also being told that we have some technology, some research available. And the reason for this is because we have built onto the St. Kieran's chain in Clonmacnoise, so we can build libraries. Research rate goes up by 120%, and it enables the building of libraries. So we'll start the research on that. Now, we haven't suffered as big a drop to our food production as I thought we would have with the construction of the community of St. Kieran. Next is the Abbey of St. Kieran, which is going to be another big drop to food production. And we have an option now to build. So that's basically opened up this tile. We can build something new. I was thinking of the High Cross, but you know what? It just gives us fame and a bit of church income. And most likely, I'm going to go with this garrison. It's minus 100 food, minus 10 food production. But it's going to increase the strength of the garrison. That's not actually what I was going for. This is what I was thinking of. So industry income goes up, but it's going to give us armor and weapons. And I think that's pretty much what I need to focus on at the moment, is building our military. I will just highlight these things. Ballons, or cupstones, these things are gas. They're still around the place. It's basically a big rock with holes, not necessarily kind of dug in them. Some of them are naturally forming, but in these holes, you then have smaller stones. And these are cursing stones. And there are traditions around the country that you put the cursing stones in, or take them out to curse people, or you kind of turn them in specific directions. I know there's one on the Kerry-Cork border that if you were to steal the stones, if you were to take the small stones out of the Boulogne and take them away with you, they would disappear and they would return back to the stone. But there is one very famous story from the late 1800s. Where are we? I don't actually know where Tory Island is. I think that might be it. But towards the late 1800s, the HMS Wasp was being sent out with, I don't know, it was the landlord on board, but there was British soldiers on board coming out to collect the rent. And the people on the island, they weren't having a great time. It was tough at the time, so they went to the Boulogne that they had on the island and they cursed the ship. And the ship was hit by a storm and sunk. And the priest was so unhappy, the local priest, that he took the cursing stones out of the Boulogne and threw them into the ocean. So there you go. Do you know what that might be? That might be a handy thing. Oh no. 5 fame and some public order. We'll go with the blacksmith. We have a chunk of money at the moment, but I am worried about the size 16 and size 14 armies on our border. And we're not going to be in a position to actually train any troops for at least one more turn until Flanchina arrives into Kells. So I'm actually going to, in Ardagh, I'm going to recruit a new general, Clerican. He's mad. It'll be free frocks and jollies forever, you'll see. Establish a new army under this man's command. So I could hire Tiernan or Hannanon, and they have different traits. I'm going with the mad trait. Plus 10% charge for all units. Oh boys, absolutely. So he's been recruited here just outside Ardagh, and if I move him in there, he only has his 9 forces. We will look at getting some troops under his command, and by some I mean 1. And what I'll actually do very quickly, so we've 1 of 5, we've 2 of 5. We're a good bit behind. We've 2 of 5 there as well. We're pretty much 2 on everything. I'd say we'll get some Chape Owl Spearmen. We'll get some Chape Owl Spearmen. And I didn't actually notice. I thought the Vikings hadn't done anything, but they've actually taken Clunmore. So yeah, they're hitting for Ferns and Ross, the absolute devils. We're going to see what's happening here in Bray. We could be seeing Lochgower vanish. I'm not too pushed. It's on the verge of rebellion.
We should enter an alliance.
Oh, very interesting. So Bray's looking for a defensive pact. What's after happening is that Bray's entire army has just been wiped out. Let's see if we can make a counter offer. Add a demand. I suppose we can't do this while we're at peace. What I want to do is I want to vassalize them. If I reject...
maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So there you can see that their entire army has disappeared. Oh, we could well end up in a scenario where we're going to have to pull our forces back down to try and help them deal with a Dublin incursion. Actually, these forces could go for our area.
For the glory of the Gaels.
So Ereman, has gotten some negative public order. The devil. So indeed, the poor devils are in such a bad position that they will accept vassalization.
A reasonable arrangement.
It is reasonable. You better get that army back up and running in the next... You'd better start recruiting.
Against us.
So I've moved my forces into Cananis, where the last handful will replenish. I think we're just short. Oh no, we'll be able to do that now in the next turn. So... Argilla are heading for Drumahare, which is actually under siege already. I'm not too sure who this is. Oh, it's by A. So we're seeing what's technically an internal Enail war, because Argilla would be vassals of Alec, but Alec is fighting Drumahare at the moment. They're moving up to probably engage as well and try and take Drumahare. So from here, we'll be able to march with our army on Kelmore at some stage, and hopefully in the next turn we're going to see this place at least bring in some extra food that we will be able to use to recruit some forces. So what we could do is, because that will be gone by the end of the next turn,
Our bravery is legendary.
so I don't want to do it too many times. I think, yeah, if we just stick in another... Mad for the old spearman, so I am mad for the old spearman. The skirmisher is fairly cheap as well. Do you know what? It's going to put us in a bit of trouble. There we go. And Flan has some traits available. We could actually put him on Pillager to get him some... pillagers for foragers, what we'd be looking for. To get him some food. I think we might just keep going with Champion. I don't really see much of a need to go for anyone else at the moment. Actually, no, Quartermaster. That's what I wanted for now. And considering the next couple of battles that we have, we'll go for Champion. I won't replace General. We'll go for Champion, but Quartermaster would be a great trait going forward. We'll bring Alil in here into Clonard, and if anybody knows if there's any way of transferring territory, I would like to give Lochgower to Bray. I don't think it can be done. We're probably going to have to strengthen our army here, because we are possibly... We're messing around a bit with the Vikings, but the problem is that we don't need any of the territory here. That's the only problem. So we're in a massive war with a growing power that we don't need to be at war with. Right, let's see what happens in the next turn. Another faction has been destroyed. Line is under trouble. Breffni has been wiped out. Peacekeeper, I hardly know her. In the settlement of Kells, we've just finished a cattle herd, so we will open up. It's going to take 8 turns to get the cattle pens, which is going to bring through another 93 food production, some farm income. There was a farm building here that it might have been valuable to have looked at, but I decided that we would focus on trying to use these to up our farm buildings. We are beginning to see Argilla moving away / moving towards us. They might be heading, they're hardly heading for Dublin. But our intention is to let them move another turn, and then we will set out from Kells and declare war. We will take Kilmore. We could take Clonleash, but Armagh the main goal, and then we're looking at the Greenon of Alach, and that will pretty much bring our tour of the northern part of the country to an end. So yeah, possibly Clonleash, Ardvacha, Clogher, Ordsroha, and the Greenon of Alach. The Absolute Devils were actually pretty even on strength. They will not accept a peace treaty. And the reason that I was trying to get a peace treaty is because they have just started sailing their forces northwards towards Dublin. And we're also seeing Breffni coming in against Dublin. Breffni has a substantial army. The main problem is the fact that this rebel army is just growing and growing and growing. So it's entirely possible we're going to have to just run around in a circle like headless chickens, try and bring this force back to at least deal with the rebels and protect our vassals in Breffni. We're still waiting for more food to come true, We're going to get more on the next turn, which will allow us to begin recruiting an army, probably here in Ardagh. We're a couple of turns away from getting the blacksmith up and running. So it's a lot of running around in a circle.
None shall stand against us.
which I think people would be used to from some of my other playthroughs. I do tend to be very defensive and to spend quite a lot of time getting all my cards set up and then realizing, wait, this isn't a card game. With money pouring in, we may as well begin to expand the Caelid Abbey. Where is this? This is in Canonus. Yeah, we'll go for the Caelid Abbey. It's going to give greater public order, which is actually falling slightly, so do you know what? Maybe that's a good idea. So once we've that done then and a bit of money put together, we'll go for the Tide Hole, which will give us 60% food production from farms, pastures, and orchards in the local province. So that'll really help with all of those. But it's back. It's back to Dublin. Let's see where these devils are going to land. So this is the rebel army, if I am correct, which has come out to face us. They do have 1,300 forces more than we do, and if we begin to fall back, we might actually be able to bring up our other generals. So I will retreat for now.
Clear the field.
I think they might still have the range to actually engage. They do indeed. So it's a battle one way or another. So they have a good chunk more troops. They do have more horse. Well, they have an equal amount of horse boys. We have 39 as a bodyguard, so our bodyguard is increasing as we are adding some champions. It'll be an interesting combat. They do not have any well-trained units, however. That is to our advantage. The other advantage that we have is that they must come to us. So let's see if we have any good defensive positions. We do have some trees here in the middle that we could place our troops around, try and get them basically to come through here and hit them. I've never been great with placing units in trees, so we'll probably have our commander, our main army back here. The other thing is that I like to try and make them walk as far as possible. So we'll line these guys up. We'll put them here for now. I thought I got you idiots to shut up. I got you idiots to shut up. Why are you still being stupid? Speech is set to 0. Why are you still being stupid? If one of you tells me that you're Britons, I will kill you. I'll just allow the army to come and bait you up. Now, I'm thinking of placing these guys in the trees. I'm trying to encourage the force down onto this flank. Not too sure that is going to work brilliantly well, however. The horse boys, I think we'll just leave them here to be devils and try and leave them there. That's probably not a great place. We'll see. We'll start the battle and we'll see how things go. So they're quite large, they're quite substantial force. True Britons, sons of the Morrigan. The other interesting thing, of course, is that they have no commander, but their commander is actually one of these horse boys, which is problematic, because it's going to be difficult to kill them. But we might be able to keep them out of range by throwing things at them. And indeed, what I will begin to do is get these guys to advance forward and see if we can have them maybe harass the enemy. So their spear boys are coming in on the opposite side. Actually, they do have a household cavalry. And they're not retreating from the... Okay, well, there you go. They decided not to retreat. That's fantastic. That's problematic, to say the very least. So we're just basically engaging with their forces over here, and it's not going very well. It is not going very well at all. They are being mown down. Our troops are being mown down in quite large numbers. Yeah, so our horse boys have basically broken. We could try and rearrange these guys here in the wrong order and bring plan over in this direction. They've done... I have no idea how they've managed to fail so badly. They did not withdraw. So the only talent that these guys have is to constantly keep withdrawing, and they decided not to bother doing that. So they have gotten their javeliners into range against us. God, that is an absolute disaster, to say the very least. Yeah, so they're being routed. We have spearmen running in, which is not what I wanted. That's pretty much the entire horseboys decimated, yeah. I will begin charging, because this is turning into a disheveled mess. We'll get you onto the flanks. We'll try and get you into a charge in from the side. The enemy general is dead, so that's the only good thing. But that was a bit of a disheveled mess. Now, their forces are falling back heavily, and a couple of cavalry charges might do some good. We are under... Our flank is under fire. I'm actually going to try and get him to pull back out, because he's in a bit of trouble. We've taken very heavy, totally unnecessary losses here. Just these guys rallied just in time. Oh, it's a bit of a disheveled mess. Flan's unit is down to 4. This was a catastrophe. Nothing short of an utter catastrophe. These guys have decided to charge us. We have a lot of units retreating from the field. Absolute catastrophe, pretty much, as a result of those horseboys. I'm very disappointed in those horseboys. That was... Oh, that was terrible. That was unbelievable. Flanchina barely comes out of that with his life. Bethel trained forces. And, that's pretty much it. Let's see if we can hunt down some forces. I don't believe that we will be in a position to do so. as they retreat off the field, try and get some XP, because we're gonna... This is gonna leave us in a very bad position for trying to help to rebuild Breffni's forces. I think everyone is pretty much exhausted, so nobody's hunting them down. Managed to rally the troops well. So there's more activity going on now that the battle is finished than there was during the battle. Some of our forces, fair play to them, have kept going, kept charging. I think that's pretty much it. We're not going to reach you guys. 69, nice. Do you know what? We won't kill anyone if we don't try. Those guys are going at an angle, so we might... Nope. There we go. And we actually do have a handful over here. Do you know what? We'll end the battle, or we will be here for the day. It was a close victory. So 392 losses. That is hefty, and that is going to be difficult to replace. 135 kills for our swordsmen, who pretty much managed to hold that line and do most of the damage after we had sent in the spearmen. So I think some more spearmen to take the main hits is what's going to be needed. Very disappointed with the way the horse children, they were only children. Very disappointed with the way they performed. And actually, just looking at it, some of our spearmen, our javeliners, didn't perform too poorly. But we would have been screwed without those 2 units of swordsmen. I'd say that's probably what won it for us. And they actually have, even though we've driven them off the field, they actually have more forces than us. So 100% we will need to take on warriors. 12% replenishment rate. And a lot of units wiped out. Coleman, the commander of the enemy forces, has been killed. Flanchina has become a herder. I hardly know her, etc., etc. Gain from the pasture building chain. Industrious. Level 1 goes up, so his health unit replenishment goes up. Very useful. And what's this? Chance of having children for Airman. Very nice. Well done, Airman. Well done. I'm glad somebody's focusing on the important stuff. So it's entirely possible that we're going to be driven back to Kells. We could go for Lochgower and try and replenish there. But yeah, after all that hassle, it looks entirely possible that we are going to be driven back to Kells to try and replenish our forces there, and possibly even recruit some new ones. Flann himself has taken a hefty beating. So like I said, very disappointed with the performance of the horse boys. We will recruit, as I don't actually have any yet, it's all freemen that we have. We will recruit 1 unit of spear raiders. And I am actually thinking of going with noble horsemen instead of the spear boys. I was hoping that these guys would kind of provide an opportunity for us to skirmish and to throw javelins and cause trouble. They're not working great on that at the moment, so it's entirely possible. These guys put in a good performance, the actual javelineers. I think for now we'll need noble horsemen to try and back up Flanchina, because he has taken a good chunk of damage. We'll recruit those for the moment. We could technically recruit 1 more, but it does open up some new technology. Oh, it doesn't actually. We finished with libraries, and we can now research harps. So we'll go with Spearman Infantry, plus 6 melee skill for spear infantry units. So we've unlocked that because we recruited 5 units, and for here we can basically just go along this chain now. So I think that's being researched. Needing to continue on with that drive for more money. We're just short actually of going for the tide barns, and it's going to introduce a bit of a penalty. What are we looking at here? 5,800 we would actually get that on the next turn. So I'm going to hold out and build the barn on the next turn, and I'll hold off building any more units because we are getting close to that number. These guys have pretty much kept all of their forces. They just broke. So I think they had maybe 16, and now they've only lost 1 or 2. They have a new commander, Thoma. Absolute divils. If Dublin decides to head for Breffni, there is nothing that can be done. Well, they've gone for Lochgower. That's not as bad. So we've seen a number of rather interesting things there. Rumour has it that this man is working against you and is about to make his next move. Alil! Alil, how could you? His loyalty is 4. That's maybe not great. So, pay him off with 1,500, which would prevent us from building that barn. And he might gain the trait Vengeful. I will ignore. These are baseless rumours. Alil is my friend. From the looks of it, oh my god, the divils. The shattered rebel forces have taken Dublin. Well, they've started sieging Dublin. Dublin's going to have to turn around. The rather interesting thing from our point of view is that rebels have taken control of Kelmoor. Alloch, that's terrible, isn't it? We should help our friends in Alloch. We've reached Kelmoor. There is a small rebel force here, and we will manually fight this battle as an attempt to maybe lift our spirits after all that has gone on to date. So we will start our deployment on a dry day. And this is the first time that I have seen an actual kind of siege map. So these style houses would be English style houses with Norse or English, probably Norse style gardens. You would not have had these in Ireland. The first time the Irish see gardens, I've spoken about this in the past, it's the same time that they see markets for the first time, when they entered Dublin, when Brian Boru and Weil Shocknail MacDonald entered Dublin on the 1st of January 1000. So the Irish word Gordine comes from the Norse gardens that they saw, and the Irish word Moragad comes from the markets that they saw there. And we have a big... We've the entrance to a dungeon. Dungeons and Dragons dungeon, surely. There's Dwemer and dwarves and all sorts of things down there. So that's been my big problem with Thrones of Britannia. I won't get into it now, we'll be here all day. But this idea of sieges, you know, is just not... did not happen at this time. The Irish wouldn't have had, like, fortifications around this, so this is perfect. But you start putting up walls and having Irish siege engines, and we're in trouble. We'll stick these two units together, but it's entirely possible that we won't be using them for anything. You fools. Do you know what? We might try and let you apologize for your previous mistakes. I'll just get these guys probably here. You're the only people I can trust. Men with swords. And, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Where should you be? You should be in 2. There we go. Right. So we've just arrayed them all along here. Should be a fairly easy battle. I've actually no idea where these guys are even oh, they're in front of us. Right. I'm going to let you morons try to... So look, you've toggle fire at will, and you're in skirmish mode. Right? So, skirmish mode. Go do some skirmish mode. There we go. Throw your arrows, or your javelins, or whatever they are, and then just keep throwing them. Joe, what will get you to fall back now? Now you fall back. Okay, these guys seem to be going for the generals. No, wedge formation. And they're turning back because they don't know what to do. So I don't think we'll be getting any of the spearmen into action today, but we'll see about a charge from the rear. Could have gone better, maybe. So these guys are not doing good, bad, or indifferent. Something about a cavalry charge, and we're grand over here. So it's these archers, just to take them out. That's our main problem. They've hit our cavalry over here. But that'll keep them out of the way. That'll keep them out of the way. And we'll get these guys to try and charge down without going in here. No, that's not where I want you to go. So we'll try and get the cavalry to charge these guys down. Probably just bring them in and try and charge the other cavalry. And what have we here? Yeah, just get you to stay back and get you to charge in. So there you go, not too bad. Okay, we're getting the hang of this whole military command malarkey. It's quite handy when you have a huge amount of forces at your disposal. So Flanchina and the nobles are into the back of their archers. And we're not taking out many of these horse riders at all, the noble cavalry. So all we need is vastly superior numbers. Ah, it's that simple. So there we go. Praise God, your victory is moments away. We've taken out that unit in its entirety, and it would be great to take those guys down. There's one of them left, and there we go. We're getting the hang of it. We're getting the hang of it. Flan, we're getting the hang of it. So only 43 losses on our side, not the worst. And we have a decisive victory. And we will occupy the settlement of Kilmoor and begin our process of marching up through the north of the country. I swear, I'm trying to get up there, I swear. We have some damaged buildings in Lochgower, so I think they're only raiding. Is that it? And they might very well just be raiding. There's a tremendous risk of rebellion here. The rebel forces are taking on Dublin, which is absolutely hilarious, and they are actually is Breffni's army marching south. So what do we have here in Kelmoor? We unfortunately have another Iron Vine. I should say an Iron Vein. Iron Vine would be tremendous. There is A's army heading south. Quite a strong army. And I didn't quite realise that we have the money to do this. We will try and build a great tithe barn at Clonmacnoise and start getting some more food together with which we can, 404, money not found, with which we can build more units, because we do have substantial troops in this area marching down towards us. Now, the only thing that we can be happy with at the moment is the fact that we actually have a defensive pact with A, so he shouldn't be betraying us at any stage yet. Then we have Ordvaka, which is under the control of Britannia. They're busy at war with Dublin. Connacht won't sign an agreement with me, and I would like an agreement with Connacht because it's one of the areas that we actually don't need any land from, unless they go on a bit of an expansionist quest. So we're kind of caught there in terms of traits at the moment. Flann has ward as bond. This man does what he says and means what he does, which is generally just falling back and forth between Dublin and Kells. And we have Alil has become vengeful. So usurper allegiance. Oh, Alil, you devil. You absolute devil. We are in a position to recruit more military units. I think we'll hold off on that. I'm going to bring this turn to an end. We do have 2 forces here, 2 forces here. And we actually have... Considering that we're not as worried about this border at the moment, and we have a defensive agreement, Connacht would go in against Rothcroken if anything would happen. Here is our trusty general. I'm going to bring him back to Clonmacnoise and prepare for the recruitment of forces here once we complete the blacksmith in a turn. On the next turn, if we can get the money together, which we can't, I don't believe. So in 2 turns' time, we will need to begin expanding this area. Britannia have gotten 11 forces together and themselves, and Alec might go in against Dublin. I'm hoping that this scenario just kind of like, when I say it takes care of itself, I don't care what you people do. We will end the winter of 880. Alec's forces have entered our land. I have a feeling that is because they are also heading for Dublin. Everyone is heading for Dublin. All roads lead to Dublin. Ossory has been wiped out. Incorporated back into Munster by the looks of it. And we have Nordmen. They're miles away. Who cares about them? Tight-fisted? I hardly... Wait, what? Eramon has another trait to his name. Or can add another follower. And you know what? I'm going to add another forager. That will give plus 10 to food production. And will actually decrease food production in enemy territories. And the other thing we're going to have to do here, unfortunately, or maybe not, the tithe hole is going to give a negative to public order. The Great Tithe Barn. So that's going to be -4, and we're on 7 at the moment, so we're probably going to actually have to start looking at buildings which will give a bonus. A public order bonus. And of course we are finishing this off as well, so that's actually going to help with that public order bonus a bit. This place is maybe... I'm happy enough to be going down both routes, so the churches and the priory store. But we do need to actually watch that public order. A couple of traits to a couple of generals could start causing trouble. We have completed the blacksmith. And I believe that now gives us an opportunity to upgrade forces. So none of the guys up here, but we can already upgrade our spearmen, if I am correct. So bonus to armoring and bonus to weaponsmith. So possibly, if we bring our forces back from Kells, if we bring them to Kells. There we go. We now have a lengthy list of forces that we can upgrade. It goes without saying that we will upgrade the man himself. Considering the work that the Fianna Band have put in, I'll give them an upgrade as well. At least one of them. Do you know what? Go on. The Tui. He put in mighty work. Fair play to you. And who else do we have? We do have a level 3 Horseboy. As a bit of a reward, I might upgrade them as well. I don't think I want to go upgrading all of them at the moment. It is a bit pricey, so we might leave it at that just for now. We don't have much money at the moment, but this devil down here, I am going to recruit some forces for him because I do need to send him out and send him into battle and get some followers for him to increase his loyalty. We will continue down the route of... who do I actually want to go for? Because I do want to kind of start looking at unlocking some of the other traits, we'll go with a swordsman. Or unlocking some of the other research attributes. Dublin, again, has gone just absolutely mad. So we're seeing A is bringing quite a large force. I don't want to attack him, but can we see what he has in his army? We can see a chunk of it. He's got axemen, he's got archers, and he's bringing his forces across the country. We have Breffni's 18 unit strong army. Look at this for spearmen. 18 strong army surrounding the walls of Dublin. We have poor old Bray putting back together its forces. Dublin's forces made an absolute hames of that rebel army, and they've vanished off the face of the map. 14 units gone. They have retaken Dublin, so there is a substantial force in there if anybody is to try and siege down this area. And I don't know if we're seeing some of the lands down here being reclaimed. No, Ferns is still holding on. And I would have expected that Limerick would get some forces together. Of course, they're at war with somebody down in this region. Bedlam, anarchy, Rulabula, we'll call it there for today. It was a bit of a mess. Flann had one very bad battle, and then some better ones. He has finally begun the process of expanding his kingdom in the direction that he wants to go. That is the only good thing. And we're now in a position to expand and to improve our units. I might improve a few more of them before the start of the next episode. Thank you all very much for joining me. If you haven't done so already, please do go and check out the link in the description to my Twitch channel, where I'm playing all sorts of anarchy and madness and bedlam. And do go and check it out and drop questions over there if you ever want to hear anything specific about this time period or any other time period in Irish history that you might have an interest in. Thank you all very much for joining me, and I hope that you'll join me on the next one. I have no idea what I'm going to do with you. We might send you to Dublin.